And is Mike not going to be here?
Michael Stapleton's online.
I know that.
Mark's not.
Mike Spalding.
Not that I know of.
He didn't say he wasn't going to be here?
I have not heard from anyone else except Mark, who may or may not be here.
Okay.
Mike's cruising the Caribbean with his dad and wife.
He is.
Yes.
Still.
They left 2 days ago.
Was Kim planning on being here?
All right. So we need to make sure that we speak clearly and loudly enough that everything gets recorded so he can report everything, put the minutes together without having to struggle with it like he has in the past. One of the reasons, guys, that I wanted to put us together in this circle here so that we're able to hear, and more importantly, the people that are listening, especially if we have somebody that's going to, like Mike, going to have to record the meeting, they can hear better. So we're going to try to keep this configuration from here on out and see how it works. If we run into a problem, we can switch back to what we were doing, but frankly, I like this better. So let's go ahead and get started. Has everybody read the agenda? I made the last change to it at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to call a 10-minute executive session after we shut off the recording, Clayton, because I have some things I want to talk to you guys about that are outside of our normal meeting. We have some guests. Would you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here?
She got trapped.
Your turn.
She got trapped.
She was right here.
My name is Božena. I'm originally from Slovakia, and I'm here only because of Roger.
All right. Thank you for coming.
International Libertarian.
Shelfer. Haven't gotten drunk. So
She was dragged here too.
Frank Atwood, your liaison to Center Right Coalition, and also slightly involved with the approval voting party that's collecting signatures for our candidate.
Quit stealing our votes.
Frank, do you think, because I missed the meeting yesterday, if anything exciting happened at the meeting yesterday morning? I don't know if does Frank sometimes give us a summary of anything?
If he wants some time, we'll give him 2 minutes again.
Okay.
Jerry, you're going to need some time?
1 minute at the end.
Okay.
And I'm Eric Mulder, your Arapahoe County candidate for sheriff. Just a friendly reminder, tomorrow, Arapahoe Happy Hour, Arapahoe County is hosting a candidate meet and greet. Candidates running in and around the Arapahoe County area will be here to answer any of your questions. That's going to be at 6 o'clock at the Salvage Restaurant.
Feel free to pass these out during the meeting.
I was just saying, Wayne, because I know I will attend the Arapahoe County, and I think it would be, do the other affiliates plan to do that as well? Because I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and frankly, when we have a good idea that one of the affiliates is doing, we should spread it out so that maybe Douglas can do the same thing.
Yes.
I have somebody on the agenda for next month for the Douglas group, but whether he can make it or not, I don't know. But we may try to do something. Eric, do you have a list of the candidates you're having come in and speak?
So far confirmed to attend are myself for Arapahoe County Sheriff, Kevin Gobranson from Colorado House District 56, Michelle Pogue, your Lieutenant Governor candidate, Kat Martin, running for Congressional House District 6 in the U.S. House of Representatives, and just confirmed today, Roger Barris, running for U.S. House District 2.
Okay.
How does he remember that?
I will tell you too, we have cards that our sheriff candidate is passing out to all of you. Anybody who's involved in any of the affiliates and have regular monthly meetings or weekly meetings, whatever you have cards, and you provide them to the outreach director of the party. Those cards will be available at our outreach booths for those constituents of yours who attend those events.
It's important that the people that are manning the booth are aware that they need to push that and make sure that they're handed out, because a lot of times people won't pick them up. Okay. I don't remember seeing the minutes from last month. Did Mike have those already?
Yep.
Yes. Nothing dramatic.
Any changes necessary, guys? Okay. Let's go ahead and start on officer reports. I really don't have anything to add to my report. I'm guessing everybody has read the majority of the reports, other than maybe Matt's, because his was up very late, and Mark Montoni, that just got his up very recent. Anybody have any questions on my report? Okay. The only thing I really have to add is just get some more information calls, which means to me that the interest in the Libertarian Party is picking up, and it seems to be picking up pretty significantly. So we're doing some of the right stuff. So that's really good. Is Mark with us? Okay. His report is posted if you guys want to read it. Is John going to be with us online?
But I know of.
Okay. Treasurer's report, he really didn't have anything to add to it from the email that I got late this afternoon. Has everybody read the treasurer's report, and do you have any questions? Okay.
I did have some money to give to the treasurer, and we'll just do that at the next meeting.
Okay. Fundraising, what do you got for us, Roger?
I submitted my report, and my report was basically that I did not have time to really. The only thing that we did was David was kind enough to generate some lists for me, but I did not have time to follow up. So
make sure you guys, when you do your reports, that you put all the information, all the stuff that you did.
Right.
Like all the candidate stuff is all Libertarian stuff.
Okay.
But the fact that you went to the convention is something that should be in your report.
Okay.
You know, all those type of things, those are all Libertarian activities we need to have in our reports for every month.
Okay, I can easily do that, but David has generated for me, I think 2 or 3, I can't remember now, 2 or 3 different lists. My plan is I'm actually going to Freedom Fest at the end of next week, but when I get back to that, I want to start hitting the lists. Sending out, with the goal to increasing participation for donations, because that to me is 75 out of 40,000 is just unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think you did see in the email that
Hey, Matt.
Rich Anderson's back.
Your conversation needs to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I showed in the email that Rich Anderson is back in the fold as a donor.
Okay.
Since the choice of the delegation and the convention went along with what he wanted, and Rich has always been a very good donor in the past. I spoke to him, and he asked me what campaigns I think might need some assistance, and it looks like he'll be helping with some campaign donations as well.
Matt, can you give me his telephone, his contact details, and I would like to reach out to him as well, and just
He was on that list that you had of the people they were trying to get back in.
He was on the list?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
fine.
one down.
Okay, good, okay.
Welcome, John.
Thank you.
We just skipped over you, but do you have anything to add to your report?
I just want to send an email, which is that I filed, I did the FEC filing yesterday. A couple of days early, but it's out of the way.
That's not payment for your work, Okay.
Sorry, Wayne?
We don't have any. Go ahead, Roger.
Sorry, John, you and I keep on missing each other. It's my fault, really. We still have a major donor who was giving monthly and who's dropped out. Is that correct? You indicate that again in your report that there was a monthly major donor who has dropped out.
Yeah, there was a guy that was doing $100 a month.
Right.
He's back in. That's the guy I'm thinking of.
Is he back in? Because otherwise I want to reach out to him. That's why I'm because you and I keep on missing each other.
Man, you sent something out that said that we had a donor that had pulled out. He's back in now that Arvin was voted out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but
He's the guy.
What's that?
Anderson. Was it Anderson?
Rich Anderson, yeah.
It's not Anderson.
Different guy.
Yeah, I don't know if he was a monthly donor like that. He would.
I think he was.
Really.
Okay.
That'd be great.
I think he was.
John,
Not recently. Eshelman was the guy.
Okay, can you send me his name
Sure.
and then I can get his contact details from David? I'd like to at least reach out to him and see if there's a reason. Okay, I apologize. I should have followed up with you after the last meeting, but if you can send that, okay.
Anything else, Ryder? Okay, outreach.
Me. So, not a lot to add to my report, but just to highlight a couple of items. And one on the Denver Pride Fest. Yes, we did get rained out. Our fundraising directors stuck it out till the very end, and we sat there all huddled up with everything kind of protected from the wind and the rain and as much as possible. And he schooled a couple of kids that came by on economics, and appreciate him helping us to protect as much as possible from the elements so we can use it again someday. And it was Father's Day weekend, and I just wanted a special recognition to the fathers that actually came down and devoted their weekend or parts of their weekend to participate in the Libertarian event.
You bet.
Again, we gathered 69 new contacts, David. They're on their way to D, and she will send you the spreadsheet as soon as she puts all that together. And there was $70 that was collected in contributions between People's Fair and Pride Fest, which is now in the hands of the treasurer. There was some interesting communication, which all of you on the board were privy to, between me and the tax guy in Pueblo over our participation in the Chili and Frioli Festival, claiming that we now apparently need to fill out a sales tax form, even though we don't sell anything, even though I explained to him that the only thing we offer is ideas. And then he's telling us that we may have to pay a use tax on those things that are given away. And I'm just really confused as to how we put a value on the ideas that we give away at our events and how they want to tax us for that. And I think we need to make a deal out of this somehow or another. I'm not exactly sure how, and our communications director suggested that since I was really hot about this right now that I should write something down, but I'm not the man of words. I am absolutely livid.
We also need to get that tax guy and see if he is implementing the same policy with the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, who have had booths there every year, even prior to us having a booth there for the last 3 years.
Mike, I appreciate that. I think one of the things we should do as a party is we should prepare something that we can post in our booth that explains to the people that come by what the city of Puebla wants to do to us.
Yep.
We pay $350 to be a participant in that. We don't collect any money from that.
Nope.
And now they want tax money on top of the $350 that we pay them just to have a 10-foot piece of sidewalk.
Yeah, he needs to really be open and clarify his position on nonprofits and all the nonprofits that participate in that festival, because there is a slew of them. And I think he's trying to most everybody in the city clerk's office is new. The city clerk had departed about the time of my election back in November. And I think he's completely misreading something. But I think we need to clarify the issues first. And if he presses the issue, then we need to make a big issue about it.
Mike, do you have a relationship with Mr. Trice?
I don't, because like I said, everybody in the city clerk's office is new now. I'll definitely reach out to him if you want me to reach out to him. I'll walk in the door and have a face-to-face.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad idea, but I'm wondering if this is if this is a pot that we want to stir before the festival. I don't want to put us in any kind of jeopardy of losing our spot.
Well, and I think we need to clarify before the festival, and then if he pushes the issue, then we make a statement about it at the festival.
At the festival, I'd be good with that.
But just for the benefit of anybody listening in that wasn't aware of all of this, first of all, he sent me this very lengthy email about our records indicated we participated last year and we didn't file a sales tax return. I explained to him we are a political party. The only thing we offer is ideas, such as that there are countless examples of government overreach and interference in personal liberty and freedom of citizens to live their lives as they see fit, so long as it does not interfere with the rights of others. Please update your records to reflect the fact that we have no sales and therefore are not required to file a sales tax return. He was very kind to reply, "Thank you. I'll mark you as a no sales vendor for 2017. Please be aware that in 2018 require a sales tax return from all vendors participating in special events. Please note that use tax may be due on the value of any items given away. So I'm trying to decide exactly what is the value of what we give away at our events in terms of ideas. What is the value of an idea?
Kevin, that's not what.
I know that's not what, but
He's just saying that, if, for example, if we're selling T-shirts, then
No,
technically speaking,
he's not saying we're, first of all, we don't sell T-shirts.
we take
Nope.
T-shirts.
We give away literature, we give away bumper stickers, we give away buttons, we give away T-shirts, and we accept contributions to a political party.
Okay, fine.
Hang on a minute, Mike.
And here's the other thing is
Hang on, go ahead.
Oh, no.
And then-
All right, go ahead, Mike.
so if they're going to, one, we take that sales tax license and we turn it in with a big fat zero on it, because then I actually want to see how it's not our responsibility on a use tax to turn in a form. It's their responsibility to assess a use tax. And I would really be interested to see how they're going to assess that.
Mike, I'm sorry, it's Roger. When they say use tax, you're talking about this is a tax. If you give a gift, they can assess a use tax on that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. So that's the basis.
Pueblo's known for their use tax. It's one of their biggest revenue collectors during state fair time and some of the other stuff. But this is new that they've done this at the festival. But I still want to figure out if they're going to issue that. They hold the burden of assessing what we're doing, and I just want to figure out how they're going to calculate that assessment.
Guys, there's first of all, they go minimum. We're a nonprofit.
Yep.
We get it the cheapest price at $350 a head. That all goes to the city. They want
that goes to the Chamber of Commerce.
on top of that.
Kevin, you know that's irrelevant from their perspective. And if they were to deem a use tax, then obviously, if what we're saying is that we're accepting donations in return, for example, a T-shirt, okay, then the way that they would attack it is they'd say that T-shirt is a gift, and you should be charged use tax on that at its retail value. That's how they would assess it. They're not going to talk about our ideas. They're going to talk about the things we give in return.
Who establishes retail value, right?
Well, no,
it's totally immaterial as well.
Yeah.
We don't sell the damn things. They're not available for sale anywhere.
I get it, but I'm saying that is the argument they would make.
The main thing is, the main purpose we are at any of those events is to exchange ideas. And they're trying to tax our ideas. We've already paid for the right to be there. They got their money.
I understand, but they're not. It's this thing. The ideas are not what they're after. They're after any physical items, T-shirts, etc., that we are giving, in return for the donations. That's their argument. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's their
I
argument.
think we've belabored this enough. Mike, would you make a belly-to-belly appointment with him and see if you can get more information for us?
So the other part of this equation is, I did recommend this for a vote of the board as to whether we're going to participate. It is a $350 cost plus insurance, which is going to be another $50 to $60, $70. Insurance has gone up every year. So I'm asking for a vote, and whether we do that now under new business, where
That's
I also
fine.
put
No, you
this.
can do it tied right to your.
And I do, in spite of everything else, recommend that we participate in this event because it's very important to our candidates in that area. Mr. Mike Stapleton, one, and Mr. John Pickerell, another, that we participate in this event. So my recommendation is that we approve. And
would you please make a formal motion?
in the form of a motion, I recommend a motion that we approve participation in the Pueblo Chili and Frioli Festival to take place in late September at a cost of somewhere in the neighborhood of $450.
Second.
Amend that to $450?
To a maximum of $450. I don't know what the insurance costs until I actually buy it, so.
Okay. All right, so we have a second. We have any objections? Without objection, that passes. We're in. And that is a wonderful festival. I manned it 2 years ago, 2 days, and it was a wonderful festival.
It is very busy. It is very labor intensive because the damn thing's open until midnight on Friday and Saturday nights. It's a 3-day festival, not a 2-day festival. Mr. Stapleton took charge of making sure that the booth was staffed during all of those hours last year. Thank you very much, and I hope that you and Mr. Pickerel will both pick up some of that slack today because I can't be there the whole time.
Yeah, and get some more help.
We've got some local volunteers that have reached out to us through our Facebook page that are willing to help as well.
Okay. Mike, do we have any pull on getting a better location? I don't know where you were last year. The year before, we were at the very end of the row, and traffic less where we were.
So last year we were directly across from where we were 2 years before. But it actually ended up being a fairly good spot because it was right at an entrance gate. And then also on Saturday and Sunday, they had a stage show towards the end of that. So everybody was walking down there towards the stage show.
All right. All right, very good. Anything else, Kevin?
That's it. Thank you.
Regents.
The only thing I have to add to my report is I was going to go to the Adams County meeting last week, but it was canceled. But I do intend to attend in the future. And the second thing is I did get on Facebook. Kevin, did you get a friend request from me? Did you recognize
it? Finally.
Well, I understood there was a Regions page. Is that correct? I thought there was like a dedicated page.
There is.
Do you know who you should get a hold of?
Richard Longstreth?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find out from him what, get control of that page.
If that's all you use Facebook for, Steve, you'll get a lot of help.
Yeah, no, that's all. Well, that was the thing. That's all I want to be on there for because.
Good for you.
Question. Is Daniel Lutz totally gone? I mean, he used that quite a bit.
Emailed him, and I haven't heard back, or he was going to get back to me, but.
He's available right now. I spoke with him on the drive up here today.
Okay.
And he's available. He is going to join us for the camping trip, by the way. So, he's still solidly libertarian. He's just going through some life changes right now, and but he is more than willing to talk to anybody that needs any help, as Roger will attest to. Somebody you have the right phone number.
Yeah, just make sure I can make sure you have the right number. I had a very good half-hour phone call for him while I was waiting in New Orleans. So he's definitely engaged and very helpful.
Actually, you could probably get the information rather than reach out to Richard. You can probably get all the information you need from Daniel because he picked up the ball and ran with it after he took the spot over from Richard.
Right.
So I think if you're going to call him anyway, there's no reason to bother Richard.
Sounds good.
Okay. Nothing else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Legislative, what do you got for us, Mike?
I just wanted to add that and I'm still reviewing and going through them, but as of this last Sunday, there were 12 pieces of legislation that were passed during the 2018 session that went into effect. They will be detailed in my next month's report, as well as the state budget. And then other than that, we'll have that and the breakdown of where we were at with Principles of Liberty as opposed to the legislation that we lobbied on. That will be in my August report.
Okay. Membership, Matt.
Let's see here. I guess given that we can make motions from our reports, getting the I know it's on the agenda later. I've got everything I need to do to get that the questionnaire for the convention up. I know it's a little bit out of order, but since it's kind of all on my stuff, I would like a pre form filled out approval from the board, just so we can get moving from for Beatrice Sutton and Sarah Myers Ellsworth. I think they're both exceptional help, and I don't think we need to vet them.
We're going to ask everybody to do a form. We're going to do it all. If you want to have them participate and put the form together, that's fine too. We have to vet everybody.
Okay.
Just as fair to everybody.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to get a check mark.
Okay. So I'll try to put those guys to you for an email vote then before the next meeting, and everybody else will try to get approved at the August meeting on that. Trying Trying to think if there's anything else here. Another thing I'd like to move forward, I actually think we can make an act to have a discussion motion on this one is I was thinking about the best way to kind of engage people, and I think we should be doing quarterly dinners with the board, which will also be a fundraising effort at the same time, so people can discuss anything that they're interested in as far as the party, ask us questions, bounce some stuff off of us. And we should do it quarterly, and we should move it into different areas of the state as well. We should do Denver Metro, we should do the Springs, we should do Boco Loveland, and then we should try to move somewhere towards the Western Slope as well. I don't think we should mess around with getting this up in the air. I'd like to, I know you guys have some good places that you do your meetings for in Denver Metro. I'd like to have us get with a meeting, dinner with the board on the 15th, followed by open discussions for whoever wouldn't like to join us for the meal.
You're talking about the entire board?
Whoever can make it. I know that given the locations and stuff, not everybody can make it, but the most that can make it at any given time. You know, like, for Lance, it might be easier for him to make it up to the northern Colorado when we do that one or something like that. And for Michael, much easier in the Springs and stuff like that. But as many that can make it. You know, if there's just a few faces.
I think it's going to be imperative that both Roger and I are there for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
The 15th of like March, June, September, is that?
This is 15th of August. I'm hoping to have the first one going.
Okay, and then on a
But
quarterly
every 3
basis.
months.
Yep, on a quarterly basis, yep. So we'd be looking at November, so post-election, meet the boards, that'd be great, kind of debrief everyone on our efforts and things like that.
Steve?
And if you want to let me know like where it's going to be and where available, I can try to get the affiliate or group, whatever we have there, involved.
Definitely.
So they can.
And I think all those invitations, Matt, are going to require an email and a phone call. I mean, we're going to have to get belly to belly with these people. If we can't get belly to belly, phone calls is the next closest thing. But without that, I don't think we're going to get much participation.
Yeah, I think we need to call the donors that have been good to the party, and we need to let them know what we're doing and invite them out.
Okay. I think that is primarily in Roger's wheelhouse. Are you want to participate with Roger?
Oh,
with
God,
us all
yes.
together?
Sorry, Matt, just to be clear, is this only going to be for donors that we're going to do this, or are we going to do this for, because again,
We can put it on Facebook and advertise. What I'm thinking with it, Roger, is that whatever venue we go with,
Yep.
is we go for some kind of a prefixed menu with them, or for X amount of dollars, and so much will go to the venue, so much will go to the party as a donation.
but again, because this goes back to is this part of what we talked about last month, namely, this is part of the special attention that we would give to large donors, or do you see this as being broader than that? I'm happy with either scenario. I just want to know which one.
I think the goal is a fundraising dinner, and the goal is to get as many butts and seats with a fundraising dinner. And
Okay,
I think
so it's
that,
broader than just the existing donors?
Yep,
Okay.
and I think that the price will certainly kind of dictate who will end up sitting down for the dinner.
Sure.
But at that, I think post-dinner, we should have a little cocktail hour or something for any libertarian to come in and talk with us.
Maybe we should, in addition, have a specific dinner just for our larger donors and
Okay,
make it special to them.
okay.
But that's going to have to be in the metro area, just in one spot. It'll have to be a central
Or we
location.
could, my recommendation would be if we're going to do it, have a 30 minutes prior to the dinner, 45 minutes prior to the dinner, have a VIP reception with the special donors. Make them feel special and stroke them a little bit.
We could,
Fair idea.
I would say,
Go ahead.
I would say that if we're doing that like on the Western Slope, for example, and we can't take a lot of trips out there, but as a general matter, they were doing that a lot at the convention, and I felt like it felt like, kind of, it was like creating multiple classes of citizenship, and I thought it was a little too, seriously, even though I was like in some of these things, it felt a little shitty, frankly. No, seriously. So I was what? No, I would.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I didn't hear the comment. But anyway, my point is that I think it's kind of shoving it in people's faces a little too much. I'd rather have something completely independent.
Okay. Let's get a collusion on what we're going to do on the first one, and then if we need to modify it for the second one, I think we can see what was successful and what was not.
Okay.
First one, you want to just do it to everybody?
Yeah, I think try to get as many people out as we can, and we'll discuss what price we need to after we get numbers from whatever venue you pick. I'm going to be picking you guys' brains as far as the restaurants you would most like to see our business go to.
I think I could probably get us a room at the Fox and Hound, which has some fantastic private meeting rooms.
I like them, yeah.
Or also Legends has some nice meeting rooms as well. And Kevin has a relationship over there as well as Eric. And so I'm sure we can use that as another alternative as well. But we need to get this etched in stone and start advertising it like now.
Yeah, I'd like to get it. I'd like to get I think we can probably do like pin posts on the Facebook plans. Do you think you'd be able to do a pin on that for me for an event, for a fundraising event?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're looking at a weeknight 7 to 9 kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. 6:30 to 9.
We have. I mean, we're probably talking post every other day. Something like it. It's just the attention span is just not there.
Yeah. You know the algorithm, man. I have faith in you.
Okay.
This is.
But Lex, would you be willing to help Matt come up with a posting schedule and maybe a nice event page graphic?
Something like that. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But just a question. I mean, I gather you're looking not so much as strictly a fundraiser, but an opportunity for people to actually meet the board, be heard, have their voices heard, and I think that needs to be the emphasis on any publicity. Obviously, we're going to ask them for money.
Okay.
But hey, we want to ask you for money, so please come to dinner. That's a whole different.
Well, maybe we need to have some sort of a hook to go along with it. I'm not so sure that any of us have enough of a personality to cause people to drive across town to join us for dinner and have us asking for money. So maybe some sort of a hook would be in mind. And I don't know what that could be. It could be just one or two of us get up and speaking, or speaking about some current event that the Libertarian Party is taking a stand on.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we could have a guest speaker. Maybe we can get Dr. Cranwitter to come in and speak. If he's available, I'm sure he'd be willing to come. And
that's the name that came to my mind too.
But we have several different ideas. If you think a hook is important, then put your thinking caps on. And if you want to have Dr. Cranwitter, I'll reach out to him and I'll see if I can get him to come. But we're going to need to have this solid date soon. So the date that you had on here,
15th of August. That's a Wednesday, so it'd be 2 days after our board meeting. If there's any agenda that needs to be addressed by then, we'd have some clarity.
Does anybody have a preference on part of town? Where do most of our bigger donors come from, John? Do you, just off the top of you never paid any attention to that? Okay.
John and I can look through that and I can report back if you want. I can report to Matt.
I think proximity is going to be a big player, because if it's on a weeknight, people aren't going to want to drive an hour and a half to get to a meeting, but they have to drive another hour and a half to go home. But if the majority of our donors are on the south end of town, which I have a sneaky suspicion that's probably going to be the case, then that'll be it. Although our biggest donor is up in Loveland.
Is that right? Okay, I was just up there today. Okay, so why don't I will coordinate with Matt and I will give him a sense of where the donors are. Okay, right? Then we can choose which part of town.
Okay, Matt, can you commit to get back to me by the same time next week?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to put this on. This is just kind of one of the weird things that came to my mind.
No, I think
today.
it's a great idea. No, it's a great idea. We need to have more engagement instead of just going to people. Hey, it's convention time. We need to be more engaged with them. I think it's a great idea.
We don't need to second guess. We just need to pick a date and run with it. And we fall on our face. We fall on our face, and we learn.
Right.
Yeah, my guess is a lot of these people did not make it to convention, and they might want to have a recap on what happened at convention. So it might not be a bad idea to sit down and write an overview of all the things that happened, who was elected, what the changes are that took place at the national convention, and then maybe we can dangle a carrot to get them to come to convention next year.
Absolutely.
I think part of the hook is just to let them know this is an opportunity to make your voice heard.
Right.
It's something new and different.
Kind of an open forum. Hey, tell us what you want us to do. We're here to represent you guys. None of us are here because we're just having a ball doing it.
Well, if we have the fundraisers down, or the big donors down there too, I mean, we can present the ideas to them. Like, I understand that you think we need to do this, and I think we do have a chance in this race. But guess what? For me to put those people on the ground, it is going to cost us this much person, and just things of that nature. Like, really break it down, the cost of what it takes to win elections and stuff. And I think when they start to understand that a little bit more, I think there'll be realistic expectations and maybe a little bit of a kick in the butt with an understanding of what it takes to make this wheel really turn.
I think that's a great idea. Anything else, Matt? No, Roger, go ahead.
Just one other name to throw out is Caldera. Because I think Caldera he would either Cranwood or Caldera, and particularly Caldera to talk about Tabor. That's his current
That's
obsession.
probably a better hook than Dr. Cranwood.
That's probably, he's very good at this. He's very
Can I rely on you to reach out to Caldera and see if you can pin him down?
I don't think we're the best buddies.
I don't have a relationship with him, but I've never met him other than here.
Well,
hang on, Frank does. Frank knows him
yes.
very well.
I'll give John Caldera a call, and we're tentatively saying August 15th, and sort of a donor's pitch of what's going on with Tabor.
I wouldn't tell him that because then he'll think it's donors to him. Because the guy is rapacious. I would just say that we're going to have a meeting of Libertarians on the 15th. It would be great if he could give us his standard, Tabor pitch. And
is there any reason why we would not want him to say anything about his the case he's involved with right now in Boulder?
Oh, this is the Second Amendment as well.
He's the lead plaintiff.
On the Second Amendment stuff, that would also be totally fine.
I could pull a lot of my 2A people over that way.
That could be interesting.
That could be better than Tabor. Either one.
Yeah.
One or both.
I don't know what he can say or not, but
tell him it's a
guns are
dinner,
just
but it's
so
Dutch
huge.
treat.
Well, there's no reason why we have to limit it to one topic.
Right.
And if Caldera has his hand in a couple things right now that are big libertarian things, Tabor and the Boulder lawsuit. So if he wants to talk about both of those, we'll give him the floor.
Just having that name out there is going to give us a chance to pull in some people that might not have otherwise attended, who just want to listen to him talk about whatever it is he comes up with too.
For this first one, I think that's fine. Let's just throw them out on the wall and see what sticks the best, and then we can tailor our next meeting to what we found to be successful and what we found not to be successful, we can throw away.
But I would also say, we'll get Caldera, but Kevin's idea, namely, we want feedback as well. That should also be part of it.
You bet.
Yeah.
Okay, good. John?
Somebody confirmed that the Libertarian Party of Colorado gave as a prize a basic ticket to the national convention at our convention.
John, as I think I sent an email that I think I copied you on. My recollection is that we did, right? And I think your suggestion was the best, which is namely that the idea was that Daniel Lutz had bought a ticket in advance.
He donated it back.
And then so that was what we were giving away, right? But then the problem is that we didn't coordinate sufficiently. And so I think we ended up buying one, and Daniel did not use his. So in an ideal world, we go to the LNC and, hey, look, can we recognize this as a swap? If not, then I think we have to just eat the cost because we did give away something. I'm 99% sure of that.
I don't remember us getting a gift from the LNC for us to raffle off.
No, we did not. This was basically Daniel Lutz's ticket.
I knew that one.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that we, instead of giving Daniel Lutz's ticket to this person,
Changing the name on the reservation.
Right, we missed that handoff. And
If we have to eat that one, we have to eat it.
And we ended up buying another one. So, but in an ideal world, someone talks to the LNC and says, hey guys, we screwed up. Would you help us out here? And they probably won't, but it's worth asking the question.
We'll talk to Lauren Dory.
If for some reason they don't want to work with us like straight on a swap on that, maybe we can get them to toss us a 2020 ticket, so we can at least get evened up and do that for our 2020 convention. Because that's, no like real cash swap.
Do we know who used the ticket?
Rhythmic Redmond.
Whoever talks to them should have all this detail.
Okay, sorry. I have to call Lauren anyway. So do you want me to pursue this with her?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give them hell, Roger.
No, she's awesome, actually.
She is.
The whole staff up there is pretty fantastic.
I don't know if I go that far, but she's
We're on camera. Shut up, Roger.
Okay, Mark, go ahead. Mark, you with us?
You just muted yourself.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
I was going backwards. Sorry. 2020 tickets probably won't be available until late 2019, so that's probably pretty long in the tooth to ask them to reserve us a ticket for 2020. Lauren Doherty is the person you were talking about. She's the fundraiser, and also for going to the National LP with our tail between our legs and begging forgiveness. The person to talk to would be Robert Kraus, and he would probably be able to wrangle that deal of giving us the package that we paid for back.
Okay. You want to handle that, Roger?
Yeah, I can try. Mark, could you, if you have contact details on Robert Kraus, can you just email those to me?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anything else, Matt?
You know, the convention committee is on there, so anything else I wanted to address, we can do.
We'll get to that in a minute here. Okay. Communications.
Everything's running smooth. The only thing is I've been modifying the posting schedule a little bit, just because, you know, people like Michael Stapleton are stepping in and taking over slots, which is good. And then as we move into campaign season, and we see probably the two leaders that we have with the shot, Barris and Mulder. No offense to anybody else, but I've dedicated 2 slots to them to help build their pages. But other than that, usual stuff.
And we don't have Mike with us, so we don't have a report from the records director. No LNC report. I think we can probably take that one off from now on. Standing committee reports. Clayton, do you have anything for us on technology?
Mr. Chair? Yes. I think we passed over campaigns. Can you tell us what's going on there?
I can. I was going to address it later, but if you'd like to hear about it, we can now. Bruce has resigned from his position on our board. He has also switched parties to the independent party, as I understand it. Bruce never contacted me. He did reach out to David, and then he sent an email out to everybody today that I just saw when I got here tonight. Not exactly sure. The only thing I can think of that happened with Bruce is I think he felt as though everything was resolved after our meeting last month, and then our emails drug on about this thing for another week after the fact with a lot of ideas going back and forth. We probably should just let it lay. You know, kept to the resolve that we agreed upon here at the meeting, and we didn't. So I think that's probably why he got upset. You know, I really like Bruce a lot, but the reality is, guys, I have a feeling that if he is that fragile, he's going to leave the party, he's going to leave his position as a board member because of one item that he disagreed with. I'm not so sure that he's the guy that we want to have on board with us anyway. You may have differing opinions, but it's kind of the way I feel. So the next step is we have to appoint, this is later in the agenda, we can handle it now if you would like to. Kim has thrown her hat in and she's ready to run. So she's back on board with us. And I spoke with her at length last night. She has the time. She no longer is carrying that extra job, so she has the time to step back into it. She has experience in that position, as well as being a candidate for the second time now, so she's certainly a good person to have on board. And she did write a report on Bruce's behalf, although it was very, very small, but she's on board. She couldn't make it tonight because she had another commitment. She didn't expect to be invited tonight. But Kim is back on board, and we will have to vote her in. We're not. Since we're talking about it right now, I see no reason not to raise this right now.
So procedurally, I think at the last meeting, Bruce did mention that he was going to be out of town for a period of time, and we'd all accepted Kim to be an interim in his absence. Now, this has come up. So procedurally, is she still the interim director?
She is.
What is the next step?
She is until we vote on.
So we need to vote on whether we make her full campaigns or continue to have her as an interim director until somebody else may step up and want to.
No, she wants to step up and take the position.
So if she does step up and take the position, is she fulfilling the second year of her, what would have been her first term, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She would have to be reelected at the next convention per the bylaws.
Yeah, she'll
That's
be
correct.
interim regardless.
But we can appoint anybody to take any vacancy for the balance of the term.
But her seat would come back up for election at the next convention because that would be the end of the second year of the term.
But I believe any appointments, any appointments at any duration in the term have to be elected at convention.
Right, but even if Bruce had stayed on, the position would be available for election at the next convention.
I don't know if Bruce, I don't know what the turnover year is for that position. I'll have to look it up.
I'm pretty sure he was replacing Kim because Kim had resigned.
I think you're right. Kim?
I'm pretty sure that campaigns is elected in the odd year to give time for the campaigns director to get up to speed so they're not stepping in when campaigns are in full swing.
Okay, so that position is going to be up for election anyway this upcoming year. So our appointment tonight, if we vote her in, is for the balance of the term that Bruce is holding right now.
Okay.
And she'll have to rerun.
So your discretion, we could do that now, or we can wait until you get to.
I see no reason not to do it right now. I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move that we appoint Kim Tavendale as a replacement for Bruce Griffith as campaigns director, starting immediately.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion? Any objection? So without objection, that passes.
Unanimously.
Good. Well, I got to tell you, there's nobody I'm more pleased with than having Kim back on the board. Awesome. She is.
When should I move her account over? Move the account over?
No.
Yes. Would you reach out to? I spoke with Kim about this. I told her that she could expect a call from you in the next couple of days to get everything set up, new passwords, whatever has to happen in order to get everything turned over.
I have her email address, so I can change it over anytime.
You use whatever mechanism. Go ahead and do it as of now. Big Clayton. All right. David, what do you have for us?
No changes to my report. I am in the process of distributing the data sharing to all the counties that have signed up for it. So that'll go out probably tomorrow.
Okay. There's several items. Has everybody read David's report?
I answered a few questions.
I had a couple questions, but I have them later in the agenda here, David, so we'll be coming back to you here very shortly.
Okay.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the ad hoc committees that we have going. Right now, we have the committee to reach out to local groups. Was that group ever named? We talked about that last month, and I don't remember if it was ever given a name. Matt, you were chairing that group. Did you come up with a name for that group?
I have not come up with a name for that group.
Okay. Have you set the first meeting yet?
I have not set the first meeting yet.
Okay. We're 2 months in.
Yep.
Okay.
You've been doing
I know this last month has been kind of
a little bit. Yeah.
Just to clarify, I believe I'm on that committee.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I couldn't remember if you were chair or I was chair on that one.
And who else is on that committee? Do you have?
I got it here.
Okay.
I think it was Roger.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I would have been the third. It's the third.
I think a good way to address this is to reach out to the local groups with this board meeting too, and try to get the ones that are at least within reasonable driving distance to come out for that dinner with the board. That's probably going to be the first and best step to try to get these folks engaged.
Right.
I thought I did. There was 4 members. It was you, David,
Steve.
John, were you on that?
No. Steve, Matt, Steve, and myself. Maybe you.
So that's probably right. Steve, you're on? Okay. Let's go ahead and get that first meeting scheduled and get that ball rolling. Next thing, we had a legislative committee. Mike, Have you started anything with that legislative committee yet?
No, we, at the last meeting, we had discussed, putting off until July. But we need to get, a message out or an advertisement out, so we can get, recruiting volunteers. And it would be, the committee would be titled the, Ballot Initiative Review Committee.
Okay.
And myself as legislative director will be on the committee. I can chair it, or we can elect to chair at our first meeting. But we need to get the word out and get some volunteers for people who, once the ballot initiatives are certified by the Secretary of State, we can start reviewing those and forming the opinion to present to the board for approval.
Do you recall who was on that committee with you, Mike?
Last committee, myself, the last election, it was myself, Jay North, David Aiken, and I can't remember.
Matt, I was with you. I was on.
Matt was there, yeah. So.
Okay.
Executive Jay.
Mike, why don't you go ahead and schedule the first meeting? You guys can go ahead and select your chair, and let me know who that is.
Okay. But like I said, if we can recruit some extra volunteers, that way we can get a few more voices and opinions to go over these and have some discussion as we compare to our platform and the principles of the state party to present to the state.
Kevin? Mike, if you need a replacement for Jay North on that committee, I would volunteer myself.
Okay.
Lance, can you partner with Mike and get some things going on that once he has everything up and running to start advertising this?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Just gotta reach out.
Oh, and for the board, Michael, I'd actually, if you're up for it, I'd actually like to reach out to Ramon Doan about getting involved in this, because I think he's a pretty sharp policy guy from my talks with him, and I'd like to get him engaged in the LP.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to get him in, and he would definitely bring some value to the table as far as discussion stuff as we go on this.
Definitely.
Matt, who's running his campaign? Because he's quiet.
I don't know.
He should be out there forefront for all kinds of reasons for us.
I know.
Did Ramon? Didn't he get nominated to 2 positions?
Yeah, he resigned.
What is he chosen?
CD1.
Okay. So Denver, basically.
What was he, a treasurer or something?
There was something else.
Yeah, he's on the ballot for state treasurer and CD1.
He stepped down from the state treasurer position.
Did he? Okay.
Oh, do we have anyone running for state treasurer position?
Not at this point.
Actually, there's 3 seats that we need to replace.
And that was one of them.
Treasurer,
CD4, Bruce.
4.
almost 4.
David?
In the previous month's campaign report, there were about 6 positions that were vacant.
I got a report of 4 just a couple of days ago.
Okay.
So we'll be following up on that.
Because you can go back and look at it, but there, I think there were like 6 listed. There were like 3 Senate seats, and 3 state Senate. And 3.
Would you confirm that and send an email to me, David? And last, we need to get that on Facebook and advertise for candidates who may want to step up to those spots. We've reserved those spots because we had somebody step in and then they had to step down.
I'm not
space is available, but we have to point
sure
it
exactly, but I think Mike McRedmond had erroneously had his name in for a particular House District seat that he doesn't live in, so he was not a valid candidate, and I don't think he's available for replacement.
I think you're right. I think there's only 4 that we actually had spots available right now.
You know, we could send out an email to all of the Libertarians that live in those districts and ask if they want to step in. Somebody's going to have to write that, okay? But that's something we can do.
I think we should let Kim do that.
Okay.
Let me reach out to Kim tomorrow.
Okay.
And see if I can get her on board to write this. She writes reasonably well, certainly a lot better than I do. And I think this is something that she would enjoy as well.
Will you copy me so that I'm reminded to reply back to her and say, I'll help you out on social media.
I think there's another procedural question. Is there a committee that's responsible for replacement, or how does that work?
That would be a vacancy committee. And we can.
I believe according to the bylaws, the state board serves as the vacancy committee.
Okay.
The state board is the committee unless we appoint a.
Congratulations, guys.
So once we have somebody that throws their hat in, of course we'll have to vote on it.
What's the deadline for these vacancies?
It's in August, I believe the end of August.
Okay.
But we need to confirm that. So I'll have Kim pin that down
You
as
should
well.
check on those dates, because I know for the ballot initiatives, to be on the ballot has to be by August 6th, so it may not be the end of August, it may be early.
Okay, you might be right. Roger?
Does anyone, Bennett Rutledge, I think, has withdrawn as Secretary of State as
Secretary of
well.
State,
I think
right.
that's another one.
He's one of the 3 or 4.
Okay, fine.
It was, for sure, it was Treasurer, it was Secretary of State. It was in one of the, I thought it was in somebody's report.
Oh, fine. Because I saw the same one. Okay.
And
all right, Mike,
since we're a
thank you.
committee, Bennett thought he had a couple of candidates that would be interested, so we may want to reach out to him.
He did. I pinned him down last week, and he doesn't sound like he's had any success with those people that he had in mind. I'll reach out to him again and see if he's had any further luck. He said he contacted him again, but they haven't responded to his request.
I will see Bennett tomorrow at the Arapa Happy event. So I will mention it to him as well.
Okay.
We can change his promotion.
All right, guys, the next one we have here is a follow-up on the email for convention committee members. Matt, can I assume that you'll have that out in the next week?
Yep, as we addressed earlier, yep. Yep.
And send that out to everybody.
Yeah, Michael.
Did Angela Plummer's name get added to the list?
I do not have her name on my list of volunteers.
Okay, because she expressed to me both prior to the national convention and at the national convention, she would like to serve on the convention committee.
Awesome. I like them when they want to help.
She also contacted. This is for our state convention. Yeah, she had contacted before as well.
Okay, fantastic.
Angela Plummer, I don't think I've met her.
I think she's attended the last 2 conventions, if I remember the roles. So, dedicated. Since we're on convention, the one thing I would want to touch on, and the reason I ask this is because it would take a little bit of my time and energy to pursue this, and I don't want to pursue it if nobody has any interest in it. But I have this Hail Mary in my mind about trying to, for a Friday night, book somebody of reasonable fame and tossing it out and trying to have an event that just won't be to our party members, that might entice some other people to wander out. And people, I'm definitely more than willing to entertain some ideas, but the person who keeps coming to my mind that I'd like to track down, and he does just do independent bookings, is Doug Stanhope. He's a good comedian.
Very good.
He is, in his 2007 special, he was wearing a baseball jersey that said Libertarian right across the front. And I'm kind of just asking for the board that just to make sure that there's willingness to listen to what it would cost to get him here for that, because I can sell tickets to Doug Stanhope to way more than just registered L's on a Friday night.
Well, one of the problems that we've had in the last couple of years, and I've only been involved in the last couple of years, is that both years we had very good bands, and the majority of the people left the room so they could have conversations because they hadn't seen people in a year, and they were more interested in the social meet and greet than they were about any type of entertainment. I think even if we had a really good comedian, we'd be faced with the same problem. Is my perspective on that, Matt. You guys have thoughts on that?
I would say that, yes, this year, I think we've all agreed that this year, definitely no band because nobody fits. But I think the big difference is, I mean, this guy would probably do like a 45-minute set, which would leave plenty of time afterwards for people to have the conversation, whereas the musicians were up there for 3 hours. And so I think that this would be a much better for the general conversation.
Well, it's worthy of conversation, I suppose.
Yeah, I just, I think we tried new and different things, everything like that, open up new avenues, you know. Just a ticket to see Doug at Stanhope with a potential VIP cocktail hour before it for people like that. There's definitely folks that would spend money for that might not even be registered else, and then we have their attention.
Is this is for the convention? Yes.
Yeah. Matt, I would say you just have to find the right venue. So
Yep.
as we talked about, you were going to try to identify a venue where people could kind of break up, drink, play some ping pong, shoot some pool, etc. So a venue that would have a stage in one end would be big enough to make sense for a guy, whatever this guy, and also would allow those other activities would be important, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make a call and find out what his fee would be. Does he live here in Colorado?
Yeah, you've listed some Stanhope. Bisbee, Arizona, border town.
All right, let's see here.
We're still thinking Central City or Black Hawk.
I've narrowed it down to a couple of locations up there that I think would have the facilities that could hold it. So I want to get the prices on that. The one thing I worry about is they have everything's kind of split up in different floors there, and I want to make sure that whatever we do, they isolate us to one floor instead of making people run around like crazy. That was one thing at the National that kind of bothered me. It was up, down, all around here and there. You know,
My one concern that I have right now is that we're in the middle of July now.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a few more months, so it's time to get going on all the convention stuff.
Yeah.
Now that we're back from National, it's time to get that ball rolling and rock and roll with it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's time to get it started is now. Okay, guys, David requested this last month and nothing happened. I'll take part of the responsibility on that. We don't have the revised Constitution and bylaws and the revised platform from 2017 yet. We have to post on the website.
2018. From this year.
Or 2018, excuse me. Who wants to take charge of finding that and getting it in David's hands? I don't have a clue where it is.
It should have been, was it on Richard Longstreth's laptop that Jake used as he loaded it as we were going through convention?
Jake was running live.
Well, I believe he did, but I'm pretty sure he loaded that onto our drive somewhere. I'll reach out to Richard. All right, let me run with this.
I was recording the changes in the minutes, but you'd have to kind of reconstruct everything, like forensically. And I think it'd be easier if you can find his notes. He was changing the language as we went along, and so he would have the much easier, complete record.
Let me see what he has, Steve, and would that be something you'd be willing to take whatever he has and put it into a format that we could then download it onto the website?
Well, it may already be in that format. I'm not sure, but I'll talk to Mike about it and see because I sent him all the minutes that I took, so see what all he has.
That actually is in Mike's wheelhouse.
I'm looking at the 2018 minutes right now at the bylaws, and all the information's in there. If you just go into the drive and you search 2018 bylaws, you'll pull it up.
Totally formatted.
It's formatted by minute, so you can it's if you can't. Yeah, just go to drive and search.
All right. I'll look again. I looked for it earlier today and I couldn't find it. Okay. Man, if I have trouble, I might have you send it.
Oh, no problem, Wayne.
All right. Well, we've already talked about the campaigns director. We've already appointed Kim to take over the spot. So the next would be supporting term limits. Roger, this is your item of business. You want to go ahead and let us know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I sent, actually, Wayne, there's one thing I forgot, if I could raise it, is that I think I sent kind of I sent this list out of major donors to a bunch of people. I actually sent it out to the LP board, asking for comments, whether anybody knew any background. I think I only got feedback from Don, maybe, and maybe, did anybody have any comments on that list at all? Or did I recirculate that? Because I think I was going to answer, because I was trying to send it to the people like Mike Stapleton. I think, Steve, I was sending to you as well, the people who have more institutional memory.
When did you send it out?
I sent it right after the last meeting.
I missed that somehow.
Yeah, I don't
I
think I
will.
got it either.
I mean, part of the problem was I sent it out on the LP board thing, where I didn't
We all
realize it was
got
an
it.
open thing.
And
so.
Karen Ann replied,
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
kind of
I-
information that shouldn't be public.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, so maybe everyone just.
I think the only
delete
one
it.
on that list that I saw was Jay North, who obviously is no longer
Correct,
part
who is
of the
left.
party. So.
Right. Okay, I will recirculate that just to that group of people. Okay. In terms of term limits, I met with this guy at the Western Conservative Summit. He was a very switched on guy. He's actually at least a small L Libertarian as well. And so basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to have a constitution of states, and where they would try to impose term limits. And I think I circulated to everybody on the board the quick summary he had. Colorado does have enabling legislation for a constitution of states, but apparently our enabling legislation is very indefinite. It's like, okay, it basically says that if we have a constitution of states, we want to participate. Whereas what they're trying to do is to make it more specific, because obviously one of the objections that people have to this entire idea of a constitution of states is that they feel, the idea of a runaway convention. So he would look for help on that. But I think specifically what we can do as well is that they actually got a vote on this in the Senate last year within Colorado, whether people would support term limits. And so I think it failed like 10. And Mike Stapleton, you probably know this well, it failed like 10 to 20. So the first thing we can do is we can make that information available so that all of our candidates can use that as part of their campaign. That they can use that to kind of say, hey, look, why did you vote against, term limits? That's one thing. And then the other thing he's offered to do is that if people want to become more knowledgeable about term limits and the attempts and everything else, he's offered to do a webinar. And then the last thing is that they have a pledge, which are pledges that if you are a candidate or a politician, so you pledge to self-limit yourself, regardless of whatever the law says. And then the last thing would be is whether we as a party would like to come out in support of term limits. Those are the issues.
That might be a good opportunity for an op-ed as well. David?
Back in the 90s, when Colorado passed term limits for all of the elected officials here in Colorado, there was a clause in that ballot issue that also limited congressional terms. And it was ruled unconstitutional by, I think, by the Supreme Court, because the terms of office are set by the U.S. Constitution. And the U.S. Constitution does not mention term limits.
Okay, but that's consistent with what they're saying, because what they would do is they would have a convention of states to amend the Constitution.
Right.
And then otherwise the pledge would be politicians limiting themselves voluntarily.
Yes.
So the general question is whether this is something we want to get behind, and if so, in what capacity.
John?
The Convention of States, right, that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That would kind of put the Second Amendment at risk, wouldn't it?
No.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
I think there's, John, I think there's two issues. I agree with you. There's far from unanimity about whether a convention of states, there's a concern that people have that a convention of states could go nuts, right? That he has a response to that, but I agree that the question of term limits in general versus the form to get there are, I think we could treat those as separate issues.
So,
Okay, David, Mike.
As somebody who has studied this in-depthly, U.S. term limits is a ruse for Convention of the States project. Convention of the States had come up with U.S. term limits because they were failing so badly in passing state legislations for the Constitutional Convention of the States that they set this subset U.S. term limits, this is only one aspect. Once this legislation is passed by the states, it goes to a convention of the states, and it's not just one issue. All issues will be addressed. It was the same thing that the Democrats tried to run through the Colorado legislative session this last session to make it sound like we want this convention to have a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. Once we go down this rabbit hole, everything is completely opened up. There is nothing that is just going to be single subject on the table. And in my opinion, if we have candidates, if we have individuals that want to support this, I take no issue with that. But I just think that it's a rabbit hole that we as a state party may not want to go down.
We could hang our hat on the idea of term limitations, but not on the convention of states. David, you had something you want to add?
Every measure that is approved by the convention of the states has to also be approved by 3/4 of the state legislatures.
That's true, David.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Yes.
You've got your mini constitution.
Yes, it's 2/3. 2/3 of the states have to approve. Yes.
3/4.
3/4.
Is it 3/4? I thought it was 2/3.
39 states.
Yeah, first of all, I'm actually opposed to term limits because even though we don't like the fact that people might vote for the same idiots over and over again, it's still their choice, and I don't really think we should limit them in their choices. And secondly, the Convention of States issue does worry me that it would just blow wide open. We come out of there with no Bill of Rights. No, we lose everything. So yeah, and I definitely don't. Well, I don't think it's worth it for term limits. That's for sure.
Let me read the appropriate clause. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which, in either case, shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate.
Okay, so it's 2/3, it's proposal, and it requires
3/4.
Matt?
I wouldn't be afraid of supporting something of this nature. I mean, it could go awry too, but it could also change the complete way we look at it. I mean, we say we're protecting the Bill of Rights, but you ask somebody who's sitting in an urban prison for 2 years for a trial if the Sixth Amendment is really in existence right now, and they'd probably tell you you're full of crap. So I think this is a time to be bold. Say, yeah, let's bring everybody together, and if we want to burn it down and start anew, let's burn it down and start anew.
I think we have different opinions here. Go ahead, brother.
Can I recommend this way? It's now been over a month since I spoke to this guy. Because this is an issue, right? The runaway convention is obviously everybody's concern. He had a response to that. Let me touch base with him again. Let's table it for this meeting. Let me touch base with him again. Get the argumentation. I might get Mike Stapleton involved if it makes sense. And then if after that discussion, because frankly I've forgotten his line of argumentation, if after that discussion it makes sense, I'll bring it up at the next.
Could you invite him in?
We can. I think he's based. I don't think he's based in Denver. I could either invite him in. If he is in Denver, I can invite him in, or otherwise we can get him on a call. Let me touch base with him again in terms of argumentation. If I think it makes sense, I'll either invite him in or get him on a phone call at the next meeting.
All right. So you want to set this aside till August?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one I want to talk about, guys, is the follow-up that we have on volunteers, and I think that this is this has been David's frustration because he's busting his tail getting his volunteer people, and I don't think we're doing a good job following up on that. I chase some. I know, Kevin, you chase a few. Lance, you've done a good job with the people that have been communication volunteers, people that are in your wheelhouse. But I know there's a lot of people that are volunteering that, as an example, there's a couple Douglas County people that I never got from you, Steve. So I don't know what they wanted to volunteer for, or I know who they are. But guys, we can't lose these volunteers. We got to get them while their emotions are hot and they said they wanted to volunteer. We've got to get a hold of these people right away. And I think we're dropping the ball. So let's take just a moment and let's see if we can come up with a good idea on how to do this. Do we need a separate committee? Do we need to bring somebody in that could be a maybe form an ad hoc committee or have just an ad hoc person? Or a standing committee, actually, what it would be, to come in and handle the volunteers to make sure that we don't drop any balls.
I just wanted to point out, you're aware of the volunteers thing you guys discussed a couple months back?
Nothing's happened with it.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Google group was set up. I'm not able, because I'm not on the committee, I wasn't able to set up email direction, but that is still around. So you guys could still do something with that if you haven't already.
Okay. It hasn't, and I don't recall who was on that.
Mark, and you were either CC'd or sent to as well. So
I never got it. I'm beginning to think that I'm not getting a lot of my emails.
I sent it about a month ago.
Mark, do you recall that? You have to unmute yourself, Mark.
So now you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Sorry. I believe I started a discussion, but we kind of never got anywhere and dropped it.
You said? We lost you, Mark.
Found it.
We lose the call?
No, my internet is going in and out here. I don't know why.
Okay. Mark, are you ready to pick up that ball and start running with it? Because we're missing volunteers right now at a pretty significant pace. And David's put a lot of time into getting these people lined up, and we're not pursuing them as we should.
Yes, I am. I will work on that this week. I know I've had to.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Are these volunteers though? Are they the emails we're getting? Is that what it is?
Okay. On our website, when they sign up, people can check one of 5 boxes for issues of clerical or campaigns or local groups or outreach. And I've been putting those together every week and sending them to Steve. And I don't believe they're getting to the affiliates, are they?
Yes, I'm not sending. I haven't been sending them directly to the affiliates. What I do is I contact all the local groups people, so that's why. Are you getting the list as well? Because there's volunteers for all.
I get the list sent to me. Yep,
okay.
And then I get the new request for contact as well, and I've gotten those up to date as of today.
So the people who said yes for local groups, I contact all of them, and I give them their local affiliate or group information, whatever's there. If there isn't one, I ask them if they might be interested in starting a group, and then I give them my contact information, and some of the people get back to me, and some of the people may have, were you saying that somebody showed up in the meeting or people showed up that?
Oh, no, just David said he sent a couple volunteers that wanted to volunteer in Douglas County, and he sent them to you, and then I never got them. Okay. Mark, you have something for us? Go ahead, Mark.
May be having trouble with his internet. I'll go ahead and, yeah. This is Mark's words. To be honest, I thought my charge was to send personalized follow-up with new additions to the database, whether from the SOS or from National.
Have you been getting that list, Mark?
I don't think so.
Okay. Phil, this comes from David.
Well, I haven't specifically pulled out new people from the Secretary of State's list because I don't know what to do with them.
Okay. Then we need to come up with an idea on how to streamline this a little bit. And I'm thinking maybe since the people are volunteering for a specific action, that should actually drive the idea as to who they get sent to. If they want to be involved in local groups, then that would go to Steve. If they want to get involved in writing or whatever, that could go to Lance. If they would be involved in outreach, they could go to Kevin.
Well, okay, I've kind of been rethinking that, and my thought is that all of these local groups should be doing those activities. Denver should be running campaigns in Denver or whatever. Denver should be doing outreach. Denver should be doing, issues. And maybe the thing to do in order to build leadership at the local level and to see who's actually picking up the ball and running with it is we should send all of these people to the local group, to Denver, or to Douglas, or Arapahoe.
The idea is good, David, but I don't think we have the exception of maybe we might have 4 affiliates that be equipped to do anything like that.
Okay.
The other groups they're not equipped to do that. They don't have the people, they don't have the focus, they don't have the time.
Okay. Well, where we don't have a local group, and we got like 60 counties that don't have local groups, we should figure out a procedure to try and jumpstart a local group. And my thought on that is we email everybody in that county, or maybe everybody in one of the 11 regions, and say, we've got a Facebook page for that county or for that region. Get together and talk about, and maybe if we get a number of people in that particular area talking to each other, they'll figure out what to do.
Is that something that you can take on at this point, David?
Well, right now we have a Facebook page for every county.
I know. I'm talking about the email, get the emails out to the specific counties or
I can do that right now.
Okay.
It's just a matter of somebody, maybe it's me, I don't know, picking up the ball and saying, okay, we've got somebody who wants to volunteer in Eagle County. Let's tell everybody in Eagle County about the Eagle County Facebook group.
Well, this is Steve's wheelhouse here, so I think this is something that Steve can probably jump in on. Now, you've been waving your hand for quite a while.
I think we might be doing this kind of backwards because we get all that information that comes in regarding, they say we will volunteer this, and this. What I think we ought to do in respect to being a grassroots organization is we should be asking the candidates, asking the affiliates, what do you need volunteers for? And that way, when this comes in, then we can direct them to them with purpose at that point in time. And then we're fulfilling needs for them with the right candidates rather than just shoving people all over the place.
Well, I think that's a great idea. The problem is if somebody wants to do outreach and they live in Douglas County, we can accommodate them.
Yes.
But if they live in Larimer County isn't doing any outreach stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to find a different mechanism to get those people involved.
Then I'm going to send that person to Bears for Congress because Roger requests volunteers.
Yeah, if you're,
and that's what I'm thinking is focus on where people say they need people for purpose, and then try to funnel those people to them rather than just throwing pasta at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Mark, you had something for us?
I think I still have internet issues. He had 2 comments. One, earlier he said maybe we should hire a part-timer to do nothing but follow up with each of the volunteers. And his second comment was, since we're having issues with busy volunteers during it, a part-timer, as in maybe 2 hours a week, doing nothing but writing letters, sending emails, make phone calls to new volunteers.
Okay. Roger?
sorry, how many, roughly, we have two different sources we're talking about here. One is three, sorry. Okay,
with you too.
okay, so, all right, so fine. We've got the people who are coming in over the website. David, roughly how many people per month? Rough, I know it varies.
Okay, over the last 2 months, we've had a total of 78 people who have either volunteered for something or they've just given us their name.
Okay. Well, do they give the name? Do they give contact details as well? Telephone number, email,
Yes.
etc. Okay.
Yes.
So we've got roughly 30 to 40 per month of those people coming in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got, then in addition, we have the change in the Secretary of State roster. So those are new people coming in, correct? Okay. And then what's your third category?
The third is
The
we're
people
getting
who sign up?
contacts from national.
Right.
On people that they're forwarding
My-
back down to Colorado.
My list includes the ones I get from LNC data.
So your 30 to 40 includes the LNC as well. Okay, fine. Sorry, can't we just do this? And man, I don't want to dump all over you, but can't we just say those go to, because I think the important thing is that if someone has just shown up, it's important that we it's like the discussion you and I had, Wayne. It's important they get contacted by somebody like right away.
Right.
So Matt, if it's like 30 to 40 people, do you have the time as the membership director?
I do now.
Okay, you do now. So I'm just saying is that can't someone just, the important thing is that we call them
And
right
that-
away.
and that
Okay,
is
let me
something that-
finish, okay? Call them right away, and in the course of that discussion, you point out to them, if they have a local affiliate, you point out to them, whatever the relevant Facebook page is, you find out what their volunteering instincts, desires are, and whether, for example, if you're aware of a campaign that, could put them in touch with, etc. But I think the important thing is that we reach out to these people right away and let them know that they have, their interest has been acknowledged. Can't we? Isn't that just the easy
That's the
way?
big
Well,
thing. That
that's-
actually
that-
is in Matt's wheelhouse, right?
That's part of what Steve has been doing.
That's what I'm doing with the local groups people.
Yeah,
Well,
but that's
with the
only
local groups people, that's your wheelhouse, but I think all the other ones, that's probably Matt's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
So could you divide that group, from the local group interest to the general interest, and send the general interest to Matt, and send the local group information to Steve, contacts to Steve?
Well,
Sorry, what do you mean by local group? I
Okay.
think, what does that mean?
one of the check boxes is I'm interested in volunteering for my local group.
Okay, fine, but I would just send everybody to Matt so that, because the problem with, sorry to dump on you, Matt, but the problem with, sending it and then Steve forwarding it to the local group, then it disappears into a black hole. We need to make sure, I think we need one person who's responsible, and we need to make sure that there's somebody whose job it will be to contact them as soon as they show up, so that they have at least one touch point right away. And then if they want to go to local groups, then, either via Steve or just directly, you can put them in touch with them, just like you would put them in touch with, a campaign if that's what they want to do. Very important that
Sorry, hang on a minute. Mark has been waiting for a while here. Mark, what do you have?
David, is there any way to bounce the responses we get from the website instantly to one or more people?
Like Matt, for example.
Not really. Although I typically look at everything that comes in on the website every day. And I clean up the address and make sure that there's a county assigned and that sort of thing. Perhaps what we need to divide this up as are people who live in a county that has a local group and everybody else.
Well, the reason I ask is 30 a month is basically one a day. And I know that sometimes they come in batches, like when there's C-SPAN covering the convention, which they didn't do this time. But for whatever reason, several come in at once. But normally it just trickles in over time. Well, this is kind of what I was trying to get at a couple meetings ago. If I can get those bounced to me as soon as they're put on the database, or excuse me, as soon as their submit button is pressed when they do their inquiry on our website, I would be willing to call them, hopefully within hours of their first response. The first response doesn't necessarily need to be, okay, let's find your county. Okay, let's find you a job right away. The first response could simply be, well, how did you hear about us? And I'm the kind of guy that can talk to somebody about, oh, how did you hear about us? And what would you like to do? And how long have you been a libertarian and that kind of thing? In other words, just get the conversation started. And then I can lead them henceforth to their correct local. I can make a few notes of the conversation for Matt and send them along to him, and he can follow up with a membership letter or email, and so on. If there's a way to do that, I'm willing to do it.
All right, you may have solved their problem. Go ahead, Roger.
I was just saying, I don't care who does it, but that's exactly what we need. We need to have a contact with these people immediately, and that's why I don't want to send it to if we send it to an affiliate, God knows when they're going to get
back.
No,
I also contact the people directly.
You contact the people?
I do, but I haven't been sending it to the affiliate, which should I be doing? Well, that's what what do I do in this situation?
At this point, don't do anything. Right. Mark's going to take all the calls.
Okay.
And not to step on your toes, Matt, but I think this is something that this works perfectly with the vice chair position, because he's sitting around twiddling his thumbs all the time, right, Mark? And then we told you
that's all I ever do from my place to the bridge.
Okay. So at this point, let's go ahead and dump this one in Mark's lap. Send everything to Mark.
Okay.
Okay. And then, Mark, if you would make contact with all these people, and then if you need to get them out to an affiliate, maybe they want to be involved in a parade, maybe they want to get involved helping a campaign somewhere, outreach, a million different things. Go ahead, Kevin.
How fast can we? I'm sorry. How fast can we bounce them to me, David?
It's plenty. One per day is plenty. If you're checking these every day, we don't have to get back to them within hours. If they get back within 24
That's kind of to my point.
Hang on, let David answer the question.
I suppose I can I'll just send them to you.
Would that be it every day?
I'm not trying to put any more work on you, David, but if there's maybe a way you can put an automatic script to copy every result from the website to me, or to one or more people.
I don't have that kind of capabilities on this website. What I've been doing right now is every week I pull them up and send them to Steve. I can send you the same list unless you want them faster.
Well, the idea is to get the response time from weeks or months down to days or a day, or preferably hours. If you guys have about 2 minutes to listen to a story, I'm going to tell you why this matters.
Go ahead.
I used to be friends with a fellow who had a carpet cleaning business, and he had a website that advertised his carpet cleaning business. And he had it so that as soon as somebody pressed and I'd like to get more information button on his website, he would literally call them back within minutes of getting that result. And I was sitting beside him on more than one occasion when he made one of these callbacks. When he would get the notification on his phone, he would call back, and then he would get a customer because of his response time. The closer we can get to that, the closer we will get to getting these people enrolled, donating, and volunteering, and becoming our candidates for next year. So if there's any way possible to get it down to an immediate bounce, that would be optimum. And David, if you don't mind, one more question: do these results from the website typically come to you via an email?
Most of them come to me via email, and I can just forward that to you. Okay.
Well, what I was thinking was if you could simply set up an extra email address that would automatically forward to both you and me, so that both of us get it in real time, that would work especially well.
Okay,
That's
let
a
me,
great idea.
let me look into that.
Okay.
Kevin?
Also,
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think maybe the exception to what Mark is talking about here, David can correct me, is we're getting the SOS data once a quarter.
That's
That's a different
issue, and I was going to turn to that next. What I would suggest.
That's one of our 3 points of contact.
Correct. What
They
I
need
would
to be contacted in as quick a window as we can once we know the information.
Okay, correct. I am going to ask David, this was a part of my fundraising efforts. I'm going to ask David on a quarterly basis to give me the new people for the SOS. So I will take responsibility for contacting them. I will send them again, either by phone or by kind of like a welcome and all the rest of it, which will also incorporate, because I was going to contact them anyway for donations. So if Mark can take care of the people who are coming in, and I would say as well from you, Kevin, anybody who's signing up at an outreach booth, I think that should also go to Mark. That should be part of the flow of people, right? So Mark will handle anybody who comes in on the website or via an outreach booth, and David and I will take care of all the SOS stuff.
So to understand the process, as stated, we sent 69 contacts to a person who actually puts it on a spreadsheet and sends it to David so he can easily load 69 new people. That's going to be another bump. It's not a couple a day. You're going to get 69. Boom.
Okay, fine. Then in that case, you should send those to Mark as well as David. So Mark, are you happy to, in addition to taking responsibility for contacting people who come in via the website, you'll also take responsibility for contacting people who come in via an outreach booth?
If they're entered, when you're sitting in an outreach booth and you have some downtime, if you could enter their names and addresses on the website right there with your phone, so that I get it right away, that would be ideal.
I've never seen that kind of downtime. It's a cool idea.
Okay, well,
but just so you know, I mean, it's going to get loaded into the system the same way each individual would have loaded it into the system, and he's going to get it twice. If I send him the same spreadsheet I'm sending to David, he's going to get it again from David. And I don't know that it really quickens the process.
The reason I was suggesting that was because if you do it in real time, then David doesn't even have to bother with importing the spreadsheet later. It'll already be in the import that he does of the other website inquiries. Am I correct in that assumption, David?
Most of the events we do, Mark, are kind of chaotic, and I would love to be able to sit down with a computer and actually help people direct through our website and sign up through the SOS site, which we can do. We just, there's a power issue, there's a connectivity issue, there's a privacy issue.
It's not practical on outreach booths, guys. We got to come up with another plan.
Yeah, I think there's also a connectivity. Okay, but how long does it usually take for you to get a list of to David?
Under normal circumstances, he would have it within a week to 10 days. It's been a little crazy with convention, and I've been on vacation for 14 days in the middle of all of this stuff. So yeah, there was a break, and we're about a month and a half behind. But
let me, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Let me start with the real-time inquiries from the website first. And if Matt could come up with a boilerplate letter to send to groups like would come in on a spreadsheet, that would probably be the best response there. But let me go ahead and do just the daily inquiries from the website, and let's see how that goes.
Mark, would you take it upon yourself to follow up with Matt on this?
Sure.
Perfect.
I'm just to add to this, Mark, whether we did it in real time, you're still going to get a block. It's not going to be 2 or 3 a day. You're going to get, there were 69 between 2 events, so you would get 30, 40 all of a sudden in one day. So, it's, you still got to parse them out based on your time availability. How many can you answer a day?
Well, let's focus, like we said before, on the stuff that we can get real time. To Mark right away. Let's focus on those at this point, because those are the ones that I think we've been dropping the ball on mostly. So let's focus on those, and then let's incorporate everything else into a system as we go along. Let's get that system up and running and working first. I think if we get into too many details and too many other sources of information, we're going to lose track. So let's start with the real-time stuff first, and then we'll bring the other stuff into the mix as we go. Steve?
Is Mark on our committee?
I think so.
Is
It
Mark
should be on our committee, the volunteer.
I think that's who I think that's another name we were looking for there.
Yeah.
I believe so. Mark, you were on the volunteer committee, weren't you? 2 months ago, we put together a volunteer committee.
Want to be part of it? Say nothing.
I need to keep my mouth shut on these things, but I think I may have misunderstood which part of the committee I was supposed to be on, and I apologize for that.
Okay. Clayton?
So I sent out 2 emails, one for the LNC contact. So I said there's 2 Google groups. There's one for the LNC data Google group, and there's membership, database, and the chair on that one. And then the LPCO volunteers, I have vice, and then I think I CC'd it to the chair. As far as I know, that was accurate to what we wanted to do. I didn't go up and set up the emails in there because I can't do that without doing a workaround, which I sent and I included in those emails, but I believe that did reflect the committees you guys set up.
Okay, and so Mark, if you have any questions about that, reach out to Clayton, and Clayton will walk you through it. Ben, you had something else?
You know, I think just to kind of round it out, this kind of gives an idea where we have some shortcomings in kind of disseminating information throughout the group. And I think that what you, myself, and Mark should work on is developing a clear and cohesive flow chart about where the information should head depending on X, Y, and Z. To different directors and things like that, so they can get to their people, et cetera, et cetera. But just finding a way that it clearly works so that nobody steps on each other's toes and we're not losing any of this data in the process. But I think the 3 of us can put our heads together on that and develop some sort of a very basic flow chart so that none of this gets lost.
I like that, man. Frankly, I believe that Roger's idea that coincided with what Mark just said, having a single person in charge of give it all to me and then let me disperse it after I contact these people wherever it needs to go. That takes away the problem of having 2 people contact the person. It takes away, well, unless a second contact is necessary. But it also takes away the confusion as to, did you call him? No, I thought you were going to call him. And I think that the idea of having Mark as a single person is right in line. That makes sense to me.
Now, in the meantime, should I continue to contact the local groups people?
Don't do anything. Let Mark handle it all.
Okay.
And Mark, if you get somebody that wants to be involved to help out a local affiliate, then you can send them to Steve.
Either help out a local affiliate, or if there is no affiliate, they might have an interest in starting one too.
You bet.
I can find people that want to get something started.
You bet.
Okay.
All right, good.
Mark?
Go ahead, Lance.
I would only caution one thing about sending people to affiliates. So Wayne knows we only have a couple that are really active, and even the active ones like Boulder County, okay, you can send them 2 different ways if they came to Boulder County. They would come to me, and I would have them actually doing shit on the ground. We'd be doing stuff with bears, we'd be repaying taxes, feeding the poor, cleaning up highways, stuff like that. Or you send them over to the chair and it goes to a black hole and they go to a lunch that they never want to go back to. So I would just caution like where the funnel actually goes to at the end, and just check and feel it out a little bit before.
Lance, what do you have against Italian food?
Steve, go ahead.
So I should probably list you as the contact from Boulder. Okay.
Roger, do you have something else? Okay. All right, guys, I think we're on task here. Thank you for volunteering, Mark. I think that's going to take some of the frustration that we've been dealing with for the last 3 months and hopefully put it to rest, at least for a little while. Guys, everything else on the agenda, we've already been over. The executive session that I had tonight, we've already addressed the issues, so there's no reason to do that. Does anybody have anything else that you want to address before we call this meeting?
Yes.
Kevin? Oh, forgive me. I need to let Frank take a minute, but go ahead, Kevin.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to get a little bit of a recap on what happened at the National Convention this past week from the perspective of those members who attended. And
Okay.
Second.
Personally, this was my third national convention, and really I expected a lot more chaos to take place, but I felt like we walked out of that convention, and a lot of people said it, from one of our few actually serving state libertarians, Brendan Finney, who said, "I'm home. This is family. This is where I belong." And Michelle and I both came back from this convention just really inspired and kind of almost sadly, looking forward to, okay, now we're home. What do we do with it? Back to our Rappa Happy tomorrow night, and thinking, God, I hope we get more than 8 people there. The Douglas County meeting last Thursday, day after we all got back home, what did we have, 7, 8 people? How do we take that kind of inspiration with all of the controversy that we all expected and actually took place at this convention? How do we bring that spirit back here and really get some excitement going in the state of Colorado? That's kind of my perspective. We haven't officially recognized the fact that we had several wins for our state. I think we can claim Mr. Sarwark's win decisively in a nearly 2/3 majority to take an unprecedented third consecutive term
round.
In the first round. Our own Karen Ann Harlos, a similar 60% plus majority in the first round as secretary. Our own Richard Longstreth, they keep going to Arizona. I don't know why. Who is now our representative from Region 1. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but any other?
Those are the big 3.
Any other insights from the rest of you guys that were there? I think we should put that on the record.
Okay. Well, I walked away with the same feeling, Kevin. I walked away worn out, but while I was there, I wasn't worn out. The energy in the room was strong. The camaraderie with the people was strong. Everything was. It was just a good experience for me.
Lance.
Can we agree if there's ever a lib sock or something that starts in Colorado, we address it? I'm not saying we ban them. I'm not saying we do anything malicious.
Oh, these guys, yeah.
But
Okay,
is that
can we
stuff?
get rid of these guys?
No, honestly, I want to talk about it because that is an issue. I'm not.
Lance?
What?
Yeah, you remember the previous board has already passed a resolution from the Libertarian Party of Colorado that rent is indeed not theft.
Okay, good. But if for some reason something happens, let's say in Denver, because it's the metro area, right? So you get a bunch of lefties coming in from whatever, and they try to infiltrate. I would just hate to see LP Colorado, which is one of the strongest affiliates there is in the nation, and one of the most principles, just get us get distracted by it. That's what it is. It's a freaking distraction.
Send them to me, man. I turned a Bernie Bro into an agorist. I have the touch.
Roger, go ahead.
Following up on this, why were these people allowed to waste that much time? Is it can they not be just thrown out in some way, or is this Nick's idea of a big tent? I was just struck by these guys were an enormous waste of time. I mean, they're so far. It's one thing for have people who have a range of views around, but these guys were miles away from anything we stand for. Why aren't they just summarily dismissed?
Well, you'd be incorrect on 2 positions on that one. One, anarchist thought a lot of it evolves from Proudhon. That's mutual.
Anarchist is one thing, and if these guys want to set up their own little socialist colony, be my guest. But when they're talking about Medicare for all, that is the government.
That was ridiculous. But you also have to remember the idea that
this is a discussion we should probably have outside of the meeting here. Kevin, did you have something?
Oh, just since you mentioned caucuses, I had a thought to create a Old Geezers caucus that would be available. Junior members start at age 50, and the rest at age 60 are automatic members of the Old Geezer caucus. One of my favorite quotes from the entire convention was during the vice chair's debate, and a guy I didn't know from Adam prior to that debate was Joe Hauptman from Indiana. And he stood up and said, you know, I have no aspirations to take this as a leaping point to become the next chair. God will term limit me.
All right. On that note, Frank, go ahead and give us, oh, forgive me, John. One minute, Frank.
I just wanted to say, the policy committee will come alive again after Freedom Fest.
Okay, Dynamite. And Freedom, you're going to Freedom Fest with Roger, aren't you?
Well, we're going separately, but
oh, you're not sleeping together.
You'll have to, you and B will have to fight over me.
All right, Frank, go ahead.
Report from Center Right Coalition this morning. One is there's an alcohol, tobacco, and ATF party scheduled the 18th of August. There's flyers out on the tables.
Are they supplying all of that?
The least expensive as an observer is $125. To participate is $225. Cut people encouraged candidates to sign the Cut Pledge as Tabor support. There's a faster group that is Good Guys with Guns in Schools. A third is in El Paso County, 4.5% of voters, of independent voters returned both ballots and invalidated their votes. I mean, that's 4.5%, even though it was separate ballots.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, Washington State, which has a single ballot, had a 6 to 8% invalidation result. The people stalking Jerry Polis are American Rising. Sort of a classified number, but still fairly ambiguous. When John Caldera polled the crowd for how they felt about the governor's race, it was about 50-50 as to what the outcome would be. Not that much confidence. And would we want the donors' dinner to be held here with pizza?
No. This has to be a nice restaurant where people can have scotch if they're so inclined.
Sounds good.
There must be scotch.
And
must be scotch.
four different handouts: a Congressman Hoffman letter, a climate lawsuit issue, governor's auto mandate, and hashtag #MeToo movement response with hashtag waves, which was We Aren't Victims. See me if you want details. Eager to talk to you two with regards to Freedom Fest.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Any questions of your liaison? Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Yes. Okay.
Any objections? I know you guys want to stay around all night, but on that note,